Hi, Murph Krajewski again, coming to you live from my daughter's old bedroom, my makeshift office. Today I'm talking with Pedro Reyes from Blackhawk Network. Pedro, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you, Mark?
Great, great. Pedro's located down in Texas. I'm in Indianapolis. We're just doing another kind of quick catch up. I really am intrigued by the story of Blackhawks move home and some of the operations that they're going through now. But Pedro's got some really good thoughts on maybe what's coming next after this as well. So let's just get into it, Pedro. Tell me about what was it like to get everybody home?
It was with Sharpen being cloud native, it was incredibly easy. I mean, it didn't even show up as a roadblock from a technology perspective, which with the previous solutions that we had, we would have been in somewhat of a landlocked environment with moving folks relatively quickly. And to kind of put things in perspective, out of the geographies that we operate in, we were given about an 8 hour notice that we had to put shelter in place. And I was 100% in a facility. And as a financial tech company, we were by design, we were glued to having those folks in chairs servicing our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So being that we were given that short timeline, I believe that between Sharp and a lot of other providers that we're using in that tech stack that we have, just to mention a few more, we have ServiceNow, Intuit, et cetera. We were able to basically just do a quick lift and shift where everybody rolled up their sleeves and just moved around. And by 9 a.m. the next morning, we were servicing like if nothing had ever changed. Some sites probably portrayed challenges that we didn't envision, but they were all hardware. I think that the lesson that we learned at that time, which you'll typically see people whenever they're moving to a new solution, the first thing is not to trust their software. Well, their software today became the hero. So I think that naturally, it's really nice to see how people are adapting, trusting, and using technologies that they probably saw or didn't even notice really work its magic to where we've been able to keep over 91% of our staff working. They're at home, seeing a productivity gain. People are pretty happy and grateful that they're employed during these difficult times.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it was smooth. You mentioned that you had multiple sites, and so you're distributed not just across the country, but you're around the world.
Exactly. Yep. We have some pretty large facilities. So just to mention our largest, we have one in Latin America, San Salvador. We had to move around 600 and something folks during that 8 hour time frame. So we went from being a call center to being a fulfillment center the next morning with a combination of bring your own device, we're going to lend you one of our assets, and kind of move all those things around was pretty impressive. It really enabled myself as the owner of the contact center operations to remain operational. I didn't have to turn into a technician for half of my day to really figure out how we were going to work that out. Right? It really became, as part of our BCP planning, a must-have. Right? Without this, we probably would have been stuck on day zero for a very, very long time. For our European facilities, our domestic facilities, and up in Canada as well, we've seen a pretty swift change to where folks were like, okay, I just use the software to log in, and then contacts magically come to me, to where I can't believe that I'm working for a financial tech company in my house, and I'm still getting the same experience, if not better, because I'm operating in my own environment than I was before. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations on a change that big. So you got everybody home, everybody's working. What's it like now? Are your end users having a good experience? Are your teams staying connected? Like, what kind of metrics are you watching? Give me a little description.
They are. They're very happy. We're using, if I were to go ahead and put three tiles, I would put Sharpen as the vehicle that's delivering who we have to support. If I'm an agent and I require support, we're using a combination of different tools, but Zoom is being one of them. And we're also using Teams, which was part of the initial package to just communicate in between us, seek floor support, etc. But we've also seen a gain in productivity. So to kind of use an earlier metric that I mentioned to another partner, I've reduced my handling time by around 4%. So to equate that to what that means in terms of dollars, at least for the company that I work for, that's potentially $760,000 on annualized savings. That's
wow.
Excluding facilities, excluding everything else, which has prompted us to rethink, how do we operate from here on out, right? We have people are happy. Maybe it's not the best fit for 100% of the population,
right?
But let's assume that 80% of the population is good to work in the environment that they're in now. And that means that I'm left with real estate for only 20% of the remaining staff, which we can kind of orchestrate by discipline.
Yeah.
The savings are all around, and it gets rid of one of the biggest, and I hate to use this word loosely, but cancers of the call center, which is attrition. That becomes the money pit for all of us, right? So I believe that the ultimate detractor is where if an employee finds a place where they're comfortable and happy to work, then they eventually become an employee for life.
Right.
That's really the type of environment that we want to give to everyone that starts off servicing our most valuable asset, which is our customers. Right. So I kind of seeing us being an amalgamation of WeWork, let's say, if we have to bring people in for training, facilitate things, or some of the disciplines that we want to stay closer to in office, and then with a good portion of our workforce at home.
Well, and tell me about your customers' experience. Have they noticed that anything's different?
No, they have not. They actually ask us a lot because we've been using text analytics provided by Sharpen to see if there's been any keywords or things that they're kind of throwing out there. We've been looking and trying to patrol as much as possible as well to make sure that there isn't anything going awry. Because obviously, like we see on these calls, sometimes you'll see a dog walk through the back end or a baby walking around. When you're dealing with a customer, it's a whole different story, right? You really have to make sure your posture is right, because all those little things matter. They've actually been extremely supportive. They ask more times than what I would have thought. Hey, are you guys working at home? Okay, I'm glad you're safe.
Well, that's cool.
That's really the perception, but it's been pretty seamless. We monitor reporting in Sharpen on voice quality. So we've actually seen an uptick a decrease in the amount of short calls and dropped calls, which has prompted us to look at our networks deeper than what we were before. Because with the employees at home internet, the bandwidth allocation per station is significantly higher. So that's something that I have to take back to the drawing table as soon as we start getting a portion of our resources back.
And you're actually the second customer I've heard who discovered that. By getting home, they found some hardening that they could do on their office network. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I know, I would have, and I had been going down these arguments with the network teams for months, and the process of isolation is so painful once you have these big, ginormous, rigid on-premise solutions that it's almost like they're trying to defuse a bomb. That's the best analogy I could find. So now that we have nothing to protect while we're in the office, these guys have to really go and do a deep dive, because I already have the proof that, hey, at home, this is next to nothing. I mean, and not only that, but we're seeing a lot of other providers in our day-to-day lives that are struggling with that. I'm not going to reference some of those by name specifically, but I don't think the entire world was prepared to do this lift and shift. Right? We consider ourselves some of the lucky ones. Yeah. But as traffic is increasing and kids are at home and all that streaming is up there, the fact that it's remained pretty solid, and even even more solid than some of the platforms that we use for video conferencing and just voice conferencing using voice over IP. It's remarkable.
Yeah. So, okay, let's take a look ahead then. I mean, now that you are in it and you're learning some stuff, you're finding out about network things, you're finding some savings. I mean, okay, listen, in a contact center context, a 1% change is significant. 4% is mind-blowing. That's a big deal. So,
Hmm.
like, what are you thinking going forward?
I'm really going. I've actually created even a small playbook of what to do if we ever get hit with a situation similar to this. I think that everybody's going to come out stronger at the end of the day because of what we were forced to do yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But we can mold this to really have a higher quality of life for our employees. Is one of the North Star that I'm looking at, right? And remaining engaged with them. And we're surveying our entire population every week with different flavors of the survey, just so we could truly have a good segmentation of who is this best fit for, do a profile study on those individuals, and build around that. So we can really limit our real estate footprint to what's absolutely necessary. So I think it's going to be more of a minimalistic approach with us, which has significant savings for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And those two things typically don't go together. Savings for the company and employee happiness truly work in this way.
Right.
So if I'm looking at that, I'm able to do this while enabling all these other benefits, it's going to be huge. It'll be a calculated approach nonetheless, but I think this helped us get all the buy-ins that I needed from whether it was higher ups or stakeholders within my organization.
Man, I love your optimism. I love how you're looking for opportunity in the middle of all of this weirdness. And I want to talk for like 20 more minutes. So let's do that another time. I'm going to cut it short for today. Pedro Reyes from Blackhawk Networks, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Congratulations and continued good luck.
Thank you. We appreciate your support. Take care.